We propose Parliament suspend the effects of the Declaration of Independence to undertake talks in the coming weeks, without which it is impossible to reach an agreed solution. We strongly believe that the moment requires not only to allay the tensions, but above all to make a clear compromise to advance the demands made by Catalan people.
Catalonia's president tried to offer an olive branch to Madrid after voters backed independence in a non-binding referendum. But Spain responded with a stick. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy put Catalonia on notice, saying if a date is set to break away from his country, direct rule will be imposed. The threat to end Catalan autonomy was issued after the federal government said it could order the arrest of more than 700 Catalan officials, including mayors and other politicians. Well, joining me now from Barcelona is Albert Royo. He's the Secretary General of the Public Diplomacy Council of Catalonia. Albert, good to have you on the program. So there was this signed and then suspended when it comes to the Declaration of Independence. Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy is capitalizing on that and saying, hey, you guys need to tell us whether you declared independence or not. So would you accept that with the declaration from Puigdemont and then the suspension, there's been confusion and it's played into the hands of Madrid?
Listen, yesterday President Puigdemont declared independence in the Catalan parliament. And subsequently, he frozen that declaration. And that's a gesture towards Madrid and towards the international community, because that was a request coming from several international counterparts to de-escalate this tension, to de-escalate this crisis, and to open a door to negotiation. So we have done what we were requested by the international counterparts, and now we urge Madrid to move forward and also to de-escalate this crisis and propose something.
Are you prepared for them to invoke Article 155 or to start that process, which would mean you lose everything that you have right now? Never mind not getting independence, you lose even the autonomy you have now.
Listen, I'm sure that Madrid knows, the government of Spain knows, that if such a measure is taken, the people of Catalonia will take to the streets and will defend its institutions and the leaders of these institutions. So they should watch out in what they are doing right now or in the coming weeks. People will defend the political will. People democratically express their political will in that referendum, and that should be respected in a democratic system.
Madrid still doesn't consider that referendum valid. It considers it an illegal vote. Let me ask you, if you go ahead and declare independence without withdrawing it or without suspending it, who's going to recognize you? Because last week, nobody signaled that they were willing to recognize you as a sovereign state.
Well, we have studied other self-determination processes, and it's always the same. In the case, for instance, of the Baltic republics, in the case of Slovenia, Croatia, just a few days ahead of the proclamation of independence, they got very negative messages coming from the State Department in the United States or from the European Union. So we understand the international community is very pragmatic. No, the international community is citing Madrid, but once you have a new reality, the same pragmatism will encourage the international counterparts to start recognizing Catalonia. It may take a while. For instance, in the case of Slovenia, it took 6 months for them to obtain the first official recognition from a third party, but in the end, it will come, I'm sure.
Yeah, you say pragmatism. What's interesting is that last week, from a lot of the European countries and other countries, on the one hand, they were supporting the sovereignty of Spain, and they were showing their support of Prime Minister Rajoy's government. And on the other hand, their only real support for you was to condemn the police brutality of the national police against what the national police did to protesters and voters, right? 1 week on, they haven't beat up any more protesters. In many ways, the police brutality is forgotten. So isn't Rajoy's position strengthened now that the international community doesn't really have anything tangible to condemn on the Spanish side, as they did last week when we saw those pictures of the police beating up innocent people?
I wouldn't say so. I would say that the Catalan position has been strengthened after yesterday's gesture to freeze this declaration of independence. Now it's time for Madrid to move forward and try to de-escalate. But nevertheless, I would like also to underline that there are still 10,000 military policemen here, docked in the harbor of Barcelona and the harbor of Tarragona, ready to act. And they are quite scary, I have to tell you. So we would need Madrid to go forward and at least withdraw these forces.
Okay, and yeah, you have the Mossos d'Esquadra, and I remember I was there last week. You have the people who very much respect the local police, and the others were seen as an outside occupational force. But again, there haven't been any incidents in the past week. We hope there aren't any more incidents. Let's move this forward. You say President Puigdemont has opened the door to negotiations, right? But what sort of negotiations? Because from the Spanish government's perspective, if you want to negotiate, that means you're willing to negotiate whether you become independent or not. So are you still willing to accept some sort of deal short of independence? Some sort of deal where you get maybe a sweeter economic deal, where you get more investment in education and so on, short of independence?
Listen, yesterday I think the President Puigdemont was very clear. We are open to negotiations with no conditions. And I would expect the government of Madrid to accept the same thing, and even to accept mediation and international mediation in order to approach the two stances. Nevertheless, it's clear that there has been a democratic mandate for independence, and we have to take that into account. But we are offering the possibility to start negotiations with no conditions right now.
If they open criminal proceedings, would that hurt you or help your cause? Because there's one interpretation that if they start arresting all the leadership of the Catalan government, that's fantastic for your movement because all the international solidarity will be on your side.
Listen, for 7 years, we haven't received a single love letter from Madrid. Just threats, just boycotts, and just police officials beating our innocent people who are lining up to cast their vote. So never a positive proposal coming from Madrid. I really think that was completely counterproductive, that fueled the conflict, that helped the pro-independence campaign, the pro-independence camp. So I expect that if they keep on doing this kind of, taking this kind of measures, they will help us fueling this pro-independence campaign, that is clear.
Albert Royo, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us on the Newsmakers.